In the late 1980s, Japan rode the crest of an economic miracle. The bubble economy had transformed a war-ravaged nation into a global juggernaut. Factories churning out electronics, cars flooding highways, and real estate values soaring into the stratosphere. But beneath the prosperity lurked a crisis. Tokyo, the world's most populous metropolis, was bursting at the seams. Over 30 million souls crammed into a finite sprawl of concrete and steel, land prices rivaling small countries' GDPs. Urban planners whispered of a reckoning. How to house the masses? How to defy gravity's pull on a shrinking island? The answer, in the fever dream of the bubble era, lay not in expansion, but ascension. This is the story of Japan's megastructure mania, the audacious blueprints that aim to build mountains from man-made might, forever altering the horizon. Projects like the Exceed 4000 and the Tokyo Tower of Babel weren't just architecture. They were manifestos for a vertical utopia, born in excess and buried by bust. Cut to archival footage, bustling Tokyo streets in 1989, salarymen in suits dodging crowds, interspersed with sketches of pyramidal spires and lattice towers. A graph rises sharply, Japan's GDP tripling in the decade, then crashes in slow motion. It began in the shadow of Mount Fuji, Japan's eternal sentinel at 3,776 meters. Architects, engineers, and visionaries, fueled by yen-fueled optimism, turned their gaze upward. The bubble wasn't just financial, it was philosophical. Post-war Japan had rebuilt from ashes with precision and perseverance, bullet trains slicing through countryside, suspension bridges spanning seas. Why not a city in the sky? Why not pierce the heavens themselves? These weren't idle sketches. They were fully engineered concepts, complete with blueprints, cost projections, and feasibility studies. But hubris has a price, and the gods of economics would soon exact it. Transition. Dramatic zoom into a 3D render of a Fuji-inspired pyramid rising from Tokyo Bay, waves lapping at its base. Soft chimes underscore the reveal. First among these titans, the Exceed 4000. Conceived in 1995 by the Taisei Corporation, one of Japan's engineering behemoths, this sky penetrator was no mere skyscraper. It was an arcology, a self-sustaining ecosystem for the vertical age. At 4 kilometers tall, 13,123 feet, it would eclipse Fuji by over 200 meters, its silhouette a gentle, sloping homage to the sacred peak. But scale it down. That's 7 times the height of Dubai's Burj Khalifa, the current tallest at a mere 828 meters. The design was poetic in its audacity. A sea-based behemoth, anchored in Tokyo Bay, on a 6-kilometer-wide floating platform of reinforced steel, thicker than a battleship's hull. Its base, a vast artificial island, would cradle 800 floors, spiraling upward in an open lattice framework, like a mountain hollowed for human hives. Here, 500,000 to 1 million residents could dwell. Lower levels teeming with parks, farms, and wildlife corridors. Lions roaming simulated savannas. Cherry blossoms swaying in engineered breezes. Mid-tiers for commerce and culture. The summit, a crystalline spire for observatories and elite retreats. Solar panels sheathing its flanks would harness the sun, powering maglev elevators that whisked souls from sea level to stratosphere in minutes. Over 3 million tons of steel, woven with advanced composites, promised resilience against typhoons and quakes. The Pacific Ring of Fire's wrath be damned. Insert interview-style clip. Archival voiceover from Taisei engineer Peter Neville, creator of the initial man and nature fused in steel. A new Fuji, born of our hands. But reality intruded. Internal pressures from altitude demanded pressurized zones like living in a perpetual airplane cabin. Winds at 4 kilometers howled at jet speeds. Evacuation? A nightmare. Cost? A staggering $300 to $900 billion in today's dollars. And then, the bubble burst in 1991. Stock markets halved, land values vaporized. Taisei's grand gesture? A publicity stunt, some whispered, to etch their name in architectural lore. It worked. The Exceed remains the tallest fully designed structure never built. A ghost in the machine of modern engineering.